there's also a statement that says,
He doesn't expect my sacrifices because he has already sacrificed himself on the cross of Calvary. I needn't climb the Himalayas. I needn't get myself dipped into the Ganges. I needn't go to the Sabarimalaya and do all those sacrifices for him because he sacrificed for my sins.
so does being a Hindu, part of being a Hindu, entail these activities of climbing the Himalayas? I mean, it's new to me. I have never ever heard that one has to climb the Himalayas to reach God and take a dip in River Ganga.
So the short answer is no. And such statements, if anybody makes these kind of statements, it really shows how utterly shallow they are, how utterly shallow and ignorant their understanding is. And also shows such statements that they've made zero effort in trying to understand their history, their culture, their heritage, their traditions, everything. And rather, they have been pre-programmed to run away to this new system very, very quickly. So, cultural practices. Like I said, we have got samskaras. Dharma Sutras talk about samskaras. What is the purpose? What is the purpose of the samskaras? Some of them served a popular purpose. For example, if people did not know better, they might say, I'm following these practices because I want to remove hostile influences and promote favorable influences. Well and good, not a problem, but it's not based on knowledge. It's not based on deep understanding. It's a blind following of a tradition set in Dharma Sutras or earlier practices. Some other people might understand and say, it serves a cultural purpose for me. Following these practices sets a cultural purpose. It gives meaning to my life. For example, when I'm born ignorant, and I know that after I'm initiated into some knowledge systems, I go through some learnings, I go through various stages of life and understand Brahman. So they make a cultural identification when they say, I'll follow these cultural practices. Some other people might say that following these practices makes me a moral person. It's a moral conduct, right? For example, Rishi Gautama, he had said that by following the yamas and the niyamas and others, which are part of the Yoga Sutras, by the way, it is good thinking, good conduct, good deeds. And these are the kind of moral precepts that will allow me to become a better person on my spiritual journey. Some other people would think that following these cultural practices improves my own personality. It's a personality purpose. And one good example of that is Rishi Angira. Angira, who said that if you take a painting, a painter takes many colors and makes a beautiful painting. And these samskaras and these cultural practices are like that. These are the paintings with the different colors that make the tapestry of our lives. It makes who we are. It makes us personality. It makes us into a much nicer and a better person in what we exude and what we do. Then there are some who say that it follows a spiritual purpose. It's a means to build sadhana. It's a means, if I follow these practices, a means to build sadhana. So somebody might say at some point in their life, I want to go on a Chardham pilgrimage. Or somebody might say, I want to go to Shabrimala, take 40 days vratam and go to Shabrimala. Some might say, I'd like to go to Tirupati and offer my hair as an offering to the devotee, to the divinity. Some people might say, I want to go to Payani and do the same. Various things. These are cultural practices that help people to grow in all these ways that I said. The growth could be popular, it could be this cultural, it could be moral, it could be personality, it could be spiritual. So many things are there to help us progress on our spiritual journey. And what is the spiritual journey going towards? The spiritual journey is going towards understanding what is our true nature. Dispel the avidya about our existence. Try to understand that we are part of Brahman. That is not an easy journey. That is not at all an easy journey. All these are reinforcements that help us to understand this is who we are. This is the culture of this country, this non-duality, this way of looking at life, this way of looking at everything that we do, how we are connected to nature, how we are connected to the world, what is our purpose in life. All these things define that. So, going to Himalayas, yes, some sannyasi might do that. Sannyasi might feel that I cannot do meditation in the city, so he might prefer to go to some cave in the Himalayas and in solitude over there, do sadhana and meditation and get self-realization. So some might, like I said, want to go to Varanasi or Vrindavan and many other places because it gives them a meaning in life. It is connected with the history, the cultural history, traditions, knowledge systems of the country. They identify themselves with it and they say, yes, I find my peace over here. So Hinduism has never been one of do's and don'ts. It has been a rich collection of practices, recommendations, so that everybody goes on an individual journey. The journey is yours and yours alone. On that journey, you will accrue karma. And that karma defines how you will live your life, maybe in this lifetime and maybe in the next lifetime and future lifetimes. In doing so, we follow Dharma Sutras, we follow different dharmic ideas, we follow samskaras, because these are all prescriptions on how to live life. If you understand your swadharma very, very well today, and you're able to live a moral life and try to understand that, yes, there is no dichotomy, duality over here, and I am Brahmin, you're a Hindu. So every one of these practices make you into Hindu. Anybody who's got questions on any of these things needs to question it, and ask the correct spiritual leaders for meaning, and so they can understand why they're doing it. It will be completely wrong the way this person has done it, to take pot shots and that saying, I don't have to go to Himalayas, I don't have to go and take a dip in Ganges to do what? I don't know what she thinks she'll get by doing that. Whether by going to Ganga, she'll suddenly become a self-realized soul. That is not going to happen. I'm sorry. There are
Well,
enough
yeah,
number.
that's what looking through the Christian lens,
Yes, yes.
what you come to. That's the only way you can think.
Very true. There are thousands of climbers on Mount Everest every year, and not every one of them becomes, self-realized Atmans and things like that. That doesn't happen.
Correct.
So it is
Correct.
you. It is you. It is your journey. What you make out of it. This person has become a product of this deracination. Very unfortunate, and her thinking is so shallow. That's all I wanted to say on her. Yes.
So you said that the goal of human beings is to dispel avidya, right?
Yes.
That's what Hinduism says.
Yes. Yes.
So I do not have to go to Himalayas to dispel avidya. I can still do it from the four confines of my home.
Bhagavan Krishna has promised us that. He has promised us that. He's saying that whether you offer to me a leaf, a petal, whatever with devotion, remember you'll come to me. What is the meaning in that? Bhagavan Krishna is talking about this Advaita idea, the earlier Vedantic idea that everything is Brahman. Everything is Brahman. That is your permanent reality. Everything else, you're an actor going through these change. Every frame of life, you can take time instants as frames. In every frame, you're an actor. It is not Shakespeare who said the world is a stage and we are just actors. Earlier than him, much, much earlier than him, Vedantic ideas have already expressed this, that we are actors in every time frame. Every time frame we know it is Brahman who's the reality. So our devotion, the bhakti that we have is not blind bhakti. It is saying that is my reality. That is my reality. So with every sense object, with every thought that I have, I love you, God. I love you, Brahman. I love you, Bhagavan. My Ishta Devata. I love you. I'm serving you. This is the idea in every notion of whether you're going through the paces of life, as in bhakti, or if you are a complete renunciate and go on a jnana yoga path, or whether you do a karma yoga. You're living a life of a householder, you're a father, you're a mother, you're a brother, you're a sister, you're a teacher, you're a worker, whatever. Everything that you're going through, you understand, I'm wearing many caps in life. In every cap that I'm wearing, I need to understand my dharma. What is my dharma? Am I doing my dharma to this role that I'm in? Right now, we are speaking. And so I have a dharma. Am I saying the right things? Am I saying the best that I understand? So that every time we do anything, we have to be mindful of the dharma that we are espousing over there. Make a best understanding for dharma and espouse it correctly.
Okay, so what I want to add to this is from the Christian perspective. So while there's no Hindu scripture that suggests to recommends taking a dip in Ganga to be considered a Hindu or to accomplish the goal of our life, the Bible explicitly commands to take a ritualistic dip in a water tank, while the priest chants the assigned verses for this superstitious Christian ritual called baptism. it says something like, in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, I baptize you. So this is a ritualistic chanting of those verses.
Mhm.
And chanting, I want to note here, has been condemned by Christianity. So chanting is satanic. Yet
Okay.
they chant these verses during every ritualistic dipping in a water tank. Imagine this verse being said in Latin or in Greek. They will sound exactly like chanting,
Right.
right?
Right.
So for them, because they do not understand Sanskrit, chanting is something that has been
Right.
demonized.
Right. Right.
So, which practice is ritualistic?
That's a very, very good
Baptism
question.
or dipping in, taking a dip out of volition, out of conviction in Ganga?
Very true. Very, very perceptive question there, Esther. They're asking about somebody who's subject to Latin rites or Greek rites and so on, and has no idea what they mean unless they're a linguist expert. It must
Correct.
appear to be meaningless. Some of the things they're doing, and the requirement
Correct.
to simulate ritual drowning, which is the born again experience, dipping into lakes and so on, or water bodies. So this too must appear very, very strange. Why this ritual born again kind of thing over here?
There's actually more. So,
Mhm,
this cult like ritualistic initiation is mandatory, not only to be initiated into the religion,
mhm,
but it's also a qualifying factor
mhm.
for getting married to a Christian in the Christian manner, or and by a Christian priest, to be buried in the Christian fashion. And this is also a qualifier for buying your own space for your burial.
Okay, okay. So
And but I haven't heard of taking a mandatory dip in the Ganga to marry a Hindu, to be cremated in the Hindu manner. And if I'm right, the millions of Hindus die without ever taking a dip in the Ganga or even visiting Ganga in their
precisely,
lifetimes.
precisely.
Are
So
they denied cremation
not at all, not
with
at all.
Hindu in the Hindu manner?
Not at all, not at all, not at all. So there is no requirement for any of these things beyond cultural significances, cultural, historical significances that connect us to the Puranic accounts, that connect us with various other accounts that have sanctified certain things, sanctified in the sense by going to these places, you're experiencing moral transformation. If I, let's say I live in some village in Tamil Nadu, and I decide to go on a pilgrimage to Varanasi or to take a dip in the Ganges over there, or Ganga over there. So if I were to do that, then I go through some trials and tribulations. Today, of course, I can take a train or go by a plane, and in 1 hour or maybe one day I'm there. But in the old days, you do a combination of bullock cart, horse cart, walking, and so on. And at each stage, you're morally tied. Yes, I'm going to Ganga. This is what I'm going to do. And I'm praying along the way. Every step that you're taking, you're praying. It is building tremendous character, moral character, resolve, and others, strength of purpose, and so on. So in Hinduism, whenever there are recommendations that try to do chardhan, try to do visit the Ganga, try to go to Kumbh Mela, in the Triveni, try to take a Ganga Snana over there or here, and so on. These are all recommendations that are with the idea that you build your moral character. So, yes, there is a cultural significance and a practice of Hindus on Ganga Snana, but nobody, I don't think the vast majority of Hindus have even visited Ganga and have not done that.
But they can still accomplish the goal of Hinduism and the goal of being the purpose of the human
Precisely,
existence.
precisely. So there's absolutely nothing that says that if you don't go to Ganga and take a Ganga Snana, you're not going to be a self-realized Atman. These are dots on your spiritual progress that do this,
Right.
do that, do that. And as you do all of connect the dots through all of these things, eventually you are now focused on the goal. Remember the tree that I said stars? There are many, many dots that you have to connect to go and say, I see Brahman. I see Brahman. So these are not like injunctions saying, if thou shalt not do that, thou shalt burn forever. No such thing.
In contrast, you're not a Christian or you cannot get married until you do the ritualistic water tank,
Right.
the ritual of the water tank. Of course, by chanting again. So people leave Hinduism and often they cite these as reasons that to be a Hindu, you have to mandatorily do these rituals, but Christianity is devoid of all rituals.
Such a shallow understanding, like I said, they are playing out their role in how the mind has been programmed for many, many years. They're just playing it out to
Correct.
go to the end point of getting utterly deracinated. That is what is going on over here. But I'm very fond of saying one thing, Esther. In my talks, I say that Indians who have been seekers, Hindus who have been seekers, have always, depending on the sampradaya they're born into, gone with different pramanas. The pramanas could have been based on perception, inference, postulation, proofs, negative proofs, positive proofs, including something called Shabda Pramana, and all of these things in our effort to know when I'm given a truth claim, how do I analyze it? How do I analyze it? How do I figure out is this truth claim valid or not? In order to understand that, Hindus go through this process of pramana. And pramana is the process. If somebody comes and says, this is the mantra that you must say, what we would do is perception, inference, understanding, enumeration, all these things we go through and understand this is the purpose of what I'm doing, and they understand reality. In the Abrahamic tradition, it has always been thou shall obey. As contrasted to Indic systems, we can say thou shall be a seeker. In this place, you're a seeker. In this place, you're an obeyer. What are you obeying? A divine, so-called divine dictated law. And that divine dictated law tells you if you obey that law, you'll be admitted to the afterlife, which is eternal life in heaven, or you'll burn forever in hell. Forever and ever and ever, eternity. Imagine that. That is a horrible place to be because you'll be suffering forever, burning in hell because this loving God has decided that he's so upset that you did not follow his divine law, he's going to put you there.
A law that cannot be applied, even if you want to apply it to your life, that cannot be applied for all times by all people of all races across the
Very
world.
true. There's no exceptions at all. No exceptions at all. At every point, if you don't obey the letter of the law, you will be burned. There's no exception. There is no extenuating circumstances saying that, hey, I don't want to do this because of this. Nothing like that. Always, if you don't follow it, this is your punishment. So somebody who encounters this should ask, how can I validate some of these truth claims? Are these truth claims valid? Is there any such thing that says such a thing is valid? If you say there's a loving God doing this, is it a valid claim? So in one case, you're a seeker through understanding truth claims. Whenever somebody presents a truth claim, you analyze it like a scientist and you try to see where am I going with this. In this one, it is blind faith, where every exit door has been closed. There is no exit door in this blind faith, thou shalt obey the divine dictated law. Each time you go towards an exit, you're told that Satan is waiting there. Satan is waiting right outside there, tempting you, and that door is locked. So you run away from that door afraid because there's Satan over there. So every exit door has been locked, and you are here chained and shackled because this is what is done in systems like this through fear inducement. So you're in a place where you're shackled, where euphemistically something called faith is there. Euphemistically, this brainwashing is called faith. If you have faith, you're okay. You stay in the center over here and you'll not walk towards these exit doors, which are all locked anyway, because the blasphemy laws are there, or Satan is there, and all these things are there. You can't exit. There's no exit. It's like Hotel California. You can always come in, but you can never leave.
Leave it. Moving on, my next question is based on the statement that's been made in the video, and which says,
You can never see my forehead without the vibhuti, kungumam, and saffron, etc., etc. Every day I used to go to those temples and worship those idols. I used to chant a lot of mantras and slokas. I used to say the Gayatri mantra. I used to sing praises to all those idols. So I was such a stubborn person. I thought I was sinless. I was so pious. I thought I was so holy, actually.
now my question is, can a Hindu talk of himself or herself in terms of being holy or sinful or sinless, pious, etc.? Because I thought they were all part of the Christian jargon.
Very true, very true, very true. And in fact, when the early missionaries came to Raghunatha Nayaka's empire in the 1500s and were talking about Christianity, this is what the Brahmins over there challenged them. They said, "How can your notion of sin be inherited? How can what my father has done affect me? How can that be the case?" So they were questioning the sin, which goes back in this Abrahamic tradition to original sin. The idea that God created Adam in his image, which makes him a patriarchal God. He's a male God, apparently with gonads, and God knows why God needs gonads, but he's got it. But anyway, from there on, we have a situation that Adam is lonely and he's got to make Eve out of his rib. It's a secondary being. So from his rib, he makes Eve. And he gives them an injunction that enjoy Eden except for the tree of knowledge. Don't go to the tree of knowledge, otherwise you're fine. And Eve goes over there, is tempted by the snake. Snake comes and says that, if you eat of this tree of wisdom and knowledge, you'll realize that you're as powerful as God, that you are as knowledgeable and powerful as God. So snake tells Eve, go ahead, eat it. And she tempts Adam also and says, Adam, please eat this. And God gets no about it because they become self-aware of their nakedness and so on. They're hiding behind bushes, and God says, why are you hiding the bushes and so on? This is the Genesis story that I'm recounting over here. Eventually, it's a fall of mankind where God says you've disobeyed, and therefore there is a punishment to be done for that. God is all-knowing judge over there, says that Eve shall be in pain during childbirth, whatever, and so on. They're born in original sin. This is the original sin is this one. And everybody in this progeny, their progeny is going to inherit this original sin. So this has been the notion of sin as we understand this word from the Abrahamic tradition. And we are also told that Savior, the Messiah, who the Jews are waiting for, who they don't believe has come as yet, but in the Christian tradition, saying that the Messiah was Jesus, and he's born of a virgin because he's not touched by this original sin. Therefore, he's born of a virgin, and he died on the cross and is resurrected, and through him, your sin is gone. So these truth claims should be analyzed in terms of deconstructing that word called sin. What is the sin that you're talking about? Which is what the Brahmins did. The Brahmins in Raghunatha Nayaka's empire, when they were told all these things, they said, where is the definition of any of these things? Where is the proof that there was one man and one woman through whom all of this has happened? And today with science, we know theory of evolution, that such a concept is a ridiculous, meaningless concept. There's a continuous chain of connectivity through the genetic record to the earliest cells that might have formed in the oceans way back 4.1 billion years ago, which is when life might have started, maybe 3.8 billion years ago. We know that. So the notion that there was a separate man and woman from whom has evolved everything is not exactly a notion that can hold up. The Brahmins did not know these things in the 1500s, but they questioned this notion of sin, inheritance of sin, and said, no, in our concept, we have something called karma. Karma is something that we accrue by a process of our actions. Whatever the words that we choose to use, the thinking that I have, the things that I do in my life, everything accrues karma. And karma has got either there is something called good karma, which we'll call punya, or there is maybe bad karma, which I'll call papa, which is the common words that are used today. So these are the kind of things. And there is no notion of algebra sum of karma. In other words, I can't go and beat somebody and get some bad karma, then give him a chocolate and say, all right, I got some good karma because I gave him some chocolate. Well, all right, you will get good and bad karma, but they don't cancel out each other. You will separately experience the fruit of your good and your bad karma. This is what the Brahmins told the Christians over there. And that is relevant even over here. There is no such thing as being sinful, sinless, because these concepts are meaningless in the Hindu context, because sin as a word has got connotation to the Abrahamic philosophy of original sin. And the Hindu systems completely reject such a notion. What we do have is karma. So every Hindu is enjoined upon to understand that the karma that they are generating as a consequence of not following the right thought, right conduct, the yamas and the niyama, not following the right conduct, right path, right thinking, and so on, in accordance with our understanding of dharma, with your own understandings of your swadharma. When you don't do this, you're acquiring karma. In today's world, I say our role is to understand that reducing our karmic footprint is equivalent to reducing the carbon footprint. Because today,
Mm.
global warming is one of the biggest issues facing the world. Biggest issues, climate change is happening, all kinds of things are happening. Species are getting destroyed at a horrible rate. We are going through a mass extinction right now, even as we speak. And things can change in a very bad way, depending on human activity, a lot of human activity. So, our best understanding of our karma today, living in today's contemporary times, is to reduce our carbon footprint through reduce, recycle, reuse, and all of these things. And by doing so, we are reducing our karmic footprint too. So we are trying not to be ostentatious in our lifestyle, and I can afford it, so I'll go and burn money and resources and so on. We don't do that. So in a way, we understand our dharma in each age, each lifetime, understand what should we be doing, what should we be doing. So this is our understanding of karma. And we also know karma is not algebra sum. I will experience the fruit of my good karma and bad karma separately. I will do that. If I do not repay my debt in this lifetime, it may happen in the next lifetime. This is the Hindus' understanding also of why there are child prodigies, for example. Suddenly, you might see a child who is an expert in something, but their parents are utterly illiterate. Yesterday, I saw a recommendation of a YouTube on my feed that talked about a 4-year-old child who knows 7 languages. A 4-year-old child who knows 7 languages, and she knows English, Russian, Arabic, Chinese, and Spanish, and some other language. And the host of the TV shows over there asking her questions in various languages, and she's answering all these things beautifully. How does it happen? How does it happen that suddenly you find children who have such an ability that their parents did not have it at all? So you can either say there is some kind of genetic mutation that allows them to do all these things, or we can also, in the Hindu way, we say it is our karma, karma phala. This is what Bhagavan Krishna says. Arjuna says, Krishna, if after doing all these things that you're telling me to, I still don't realize the spiritual goal because I am a lesser human being, I have failed in doing well in these spiritual pursuits. He says, do I not fail at both ends? I do not realize Brahman on that side. On this side, I have not enjoyed my real world also over here because I self-negated all these things. And Bhagavan Krishna tells him, no, Arjuna, don't worry. Anybody who works towards a positive goal like this, be assured in your next birth, you'll come closer towards that spiritual goal. In other words, he's expressing the notion of karma phala, that as you're working toward a spiritual goal, it is always good. In the next birth, you'll be close to another spiritual goal and you go towards where you need to. So, this is our understanding of karma, the Hindus' understanding of karma. If somebody comes and says you're a sinner, the first thing I'd like that Hindu person to do is ask the person, what exactly is this sin? And if he says that, well, everything you're doing is bad and is a sin, and we say, well, karma. I am living a life knowing I'm generating karma. I live a life knowing my dharma. I am wearing many caps. In every cap, I'm doing what is my dharma over here. And I'm mindful that I'm generating karma and I want to minimize my karmic footprint. This is where I am. So if the Hindu can articulate that and deconstruct the Abrahamic notion of original sin and using science, logic, rationality, perception, say, theory of evolution says there's no Adam and Eve. So please tell me, where is this question of original sin? And additionally, if the person comes in biology and says that parthenogenesis does not happen in Homo sapiens, we see that happening in reptiles and other lower life forms. Parthenogenesis does not happen in higher life forms. So please tell me how this is going to happen. If somebody says miracles, then the question to ask is, what exactly is a miracle? Do you see these kind of things happening? Do you see the laws of physics getting suspended suddenly in some particular time? We don't see that happening.
I believe truly that karma siddhant, The karma philosophy is the only answer for the problem of evil. And let me tell you that the problem of evil is something Christianity has been trying hard to define, to explain, but has failed utterly. And to the question why good things happen to bad people and bad things happen to good people, the Christianity has not been able to answer that. And karma philosophy does that.
Yes. And one has got to realize that when you don't follow the path of dharma, dharma is not set in stone. It is our best understanding of the rita, the natural order of the universe, best understanding of that. When we don't follow in those paths, you're generating karma. Karma comes as a consequence of that. So it could be bad karma, like I said, it could be good karma. And so when you see somebody who was maybe in this lifetime born into a good family, maybe in a good family meaning, conducive towards a spiritual goal, but still you don't find yourself on that path, it is a falling away from understanding what your dharma is, and so on. There's a tendency in Christian circles also to look at this as fatalistic, that dharma is fate, karma is fatalistic idea. I've seen this. This is part of the atrocity literature, a fatalistic kind of way of looking at it.
Correct.
And this is one of those tropes that has been done. How can anybody possibly know what their karma or their future is going to be? Nobody can understand that. So the best that you can do in a situation where you don't know the outcome is to do the best things that you can do. Best things are the dharmic lifestyle, doing good in every situation, understanding what should I do over here. For example, the Christians are very fond of saying the fatalistic philosophy of Hindus, such that they see some beggar dying on the road, they'll say that is his karma and let him die. And so they say that Hindus don't practice charity. This has happened. I see that happening even today, where such kind of atrocity literature is given. The real answer is, how do you know what the karma is, what your dharma is? Maybe this is the dharma for you is to help that beggar and maybe do the best that you can with that beggar. Practice the charity, practice the best acts of maybe taking him and putting him in a place where he's looked after. So we don't know what our dharma is. At every situation, we need to understand to our best of understanding with the reference manuals that we have from the past Dharma Sutras, with our best understanding of Vedanta, what should I do here? If somebody analyzes that, you will realize that the best thing that you can do always is to practice the yamas and niyamas, good deeds, good thoughts, good everything. See suffering, try to alleviate the suffering. So no Hindu will come and say, let him suffer, that is his karma. This is a perversion of our own understanding of our systems.
So something like Teresa of Kolkata did. So let the the person that's suffering, let him or her suffer, because if you try to help him, you're interfering with God's plan for his life or her life.
Right, right.
Anyway, that's a big topic. We'll have to deal with it in a separate video probably. But yeah, that's what she said.
Very fatalistic way of looking at it. Very fatalistic and superstitious way of looking at life. Very poor choices. Yes.
Correct. So, but before moving on, in the context of Adam and Eve, I would like to share a joke with you. As soon as I came out of the dark tunnel and saw the light, the first question that crossed my mind is, why didn't God create another man if all Adam needed was just company? Why did he have to create a being with the vagina?
Very true. That's a very perceptive
Why
question.
didn't he create another man? Because Adam just was bored and needed company, right?
Yes. Very perceptive. Why would the all-knowing creator God create Eve with a different set of gonads, which is meant for reproduction, and then curse her for exactly that? So it's very strange.
Yeah.
Very strange.
So the next general statement that the speaker of the video makes is that there is no personal God concept in Hinduism. Hinduism does not give you the pleasure of having a personal relationship with God, unlike Christianity. How true is that statement about Hinduism.
Very, very incorrect. In one line, that is a exceedingly incorrect statement made with shallow understanding or by distorting Hinduism. So let us go back to whatever we talked. We started talking about Vedanta, Brahman, and so on. So in Hinduism, we can broadly think of two concepts. One is called Nirguna Brahman. Nirguna means without a form, and the Saguna Brahman, Brahman with a form. So both are equally valid understandings of this permanent reality that we call Brahman. So somebody who finds it difficult to relate to a Nirguna Brahman, which is an abstract form, might want Brahman with a form, who we can call Bhagavan or we can call Ishvara and so on. So these are divinities with a form, with some attributes that I want to see in myself. So you try to worship to that particular form of Bhagavan, Saguna Brahman or Brahman, and devotees are free to do this. So this is the concept of an Ishtadevata. An Ishtadevata, for example, a devotee might like to see some aspects they would like. For example, a wrestler. A wrestler might want to emulate the strength of Bhagavan like Hanuman. So he might have an Ishtadevata like Hanuman and pray to Hanuman because that is his chosen ideal. That is where he's going to. He wakes up in the morning, he prays to Hanuman and he practices in his gym day and night. That is his motivation. That is where his power, his strength, everything is coming from there to go do that. A dancer, Bharatanatyam dancer, might first pray to Nataraja. So he or she might have a Saguna Brahman form of Nataraja over there, the cosmic dancer, and then that is the inspiration for everything he or she is going to do on stage. Similarly, a scholar might pay a lot of respect to Saraswati, the patron of learning, and so on. And that is the Ishtadevata which I have, and you might want to pray to Saraswati to give you the wisdom and skills and so on. So Hinduism has always had the concept of Ishtadevata, Kula Devata, and so on, where communities would have a notion of a Devata, where an entire family clan might have the concept of a Devata, where you yourself might have a Ishtadevata that you want. And to this Ishtadevata, you would treat like he or she is your friend. You're talking, you're lamenting your woes. How often have we seen that? Where people say, Bhagavan, why are you giving me this Vedana? Why are you doing this? I've done so much for you. I prayed for you. We find so many poems, right? We find so many poems in Bhakti era where the poets are talking about, I have worshipped you in this form. I've done this for you. I've done that for you, but I still can't see you. Where are you? And so we are talking with our Ishta Devata as if they were our friends, and such a notion has very much been in Hinduism. So Ishta Devata is very much there in the Saguna Brahman kind of worship, as well as a Nirguna Brahman without a form.